to get you here quickly. You should start from here and let us take care of everything in between. Flextronics SBS, innovative manufacturing services.
Hello, I'm Kim Sauer for EMS Now here at Productronica in Munich. I'm joined today by David Raby, CEO and President of STI Electronics. Thank you very much for talking to us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Pleasure. David, the industry has gone through a lot of ups and downs and turmoil over the past few years. We're at Productronica in Munich. It's a show that takes place every 2 years. Let's look back at those 2 years. Let's hear from your experience. What was it that you were expecting then? What has come true? How did you as a company deal with that?
Okay, that's an easy one.
A lot to answer.
It's been an interesting 2 years.
Yeah.
I would like to say I was smart enough to know how this was going to turn out, but that's far from the truth. 2 years ago, we were nervous, primarily, maybe naively, we were primarily nervous about the U.S. economy and how that was, obviously we're based there, and that's what I was very nervous about how that was going to go. We survived that, or we've survived that so far. But now the international economy is figuring in such a big way. Each of the countries that's having its issues over here, none of us have ever been through this, so you don't really know what's going to happen next. You don't know.
And the speed at which it's happening is
exactly.
So unpredictable.
I mean, we're worried about a different country now than we were a month ago.
Yes.
And I worry about that. I don't know how it's going to affect anything. I mean, all I can do is keep doing the job that I do, and try to make our customers happy and hope they're successful in selling their products.
Yeah.
I also worry about what's happening still internally in the U.S. I mean, we're worried about countries now. I worry about states too.
Really? Okay.
I don't know what happens if one of the states all of a sudden becomes the next financial crisis, and how that affects the overall economy. Because again, none of us have ever seen that before.
Yes.
We've got the so-called experts that can make their predictions, but we don't know. 2 years from now, when we're sitting here doing this, we maybe look back and laugh at it. But at least I hope that's the case.
So for STI Electronics, how have you evolved, and what was it you were offering then that was your core and maybe still is your core, and what have you done to survive? And you're obviously successful and still around.
We've actually grown the last 2 years, and, which is kind of surprising when you hear what everybody else is saying.
Yeah.
But we have been lucky on that, and hopefully continue. 2 years ago, we were probably 90% military on our contract manufacturing side. Now, we just work for the U.S. military, but then the U.S. military has so much foreign sales that the global economy does impact that. At 90% military, that was too high, so I wanted to get that down. Ideally, I'd like to be 50-50 on military commercial.
Yeah.
Right now, we've got it down to we're probably 70-30 military, and I do feel better about that. We're working in the mining industry. With safety equipment for the mines. It's a great spinoff from the military because it is high reliability. It's got to work. Lives depend on it. Along that same lines, we're working with the military, with the medical industry, which again, lives depend on it. So the quality that we grew up with in the military business applies to that. And then we're also now getting more and more into LED lighting. The current application we have for that's for the automotive industry, which with that we're going through getting all of our certifications for we have ISO, but now we go get the TS for the automotive, and puts us in a whole nother world. Puts us in another world volume-wise. Our quality systems, we believe, are there, but we've never built on the scale that we will for the automotive. But I'm excited about that. Because the automotive industry, surprisingly enough, seems pretty solid right now, really, and at least the people we are working with. Now, again, 2 years from now we may laugh at that.
So does that mean you've had to evolve slightly from what you're offering from a really high-tech supplier, service supplier, to more of a volume service supplier, or is it still very much?
It's still pretty much the same.
Really?
I mean, the automotive will be different for us, although right now we're still in the early phases of that. But the mining, the medical have been run about the same quantities that we do for the military. So it really hasn't changed that much. I mean, it's different from a price competitive point. It's different from the customer demands, although there's very few customers that are more demanding than the U.S. military. So, it hasn't been that difficult of a transition. The transition for us has been how you find those customers, because we've primarily worked before just in a military environment, and your customers, you know who they are.
Yes. So you're actively going out, seeking out these customers. So therefore, the technology you have, as I understand, has stayed the same, thereabouts.
Right, but what was leading edge technology for the military 2 years ago is now commercially available.
Yes.
So the technology, it has advanced. I mean, we're using more advanced components, we're using better equipment, we're doing all types of things that make products better, but it hasn't been this phenomenal leap, or it hasn't been like we're doing commercial now, we don't have to worry about that quality. That part hasn't changed for us.
Okay. So going forward, how are you working towards closing that gap, or decreasing? I mean, I suppose you still want to increase the volume that you get through military, but
we have that discussion a lot of times at work. It's I want that percentage to change, but I don't want the volume to go down. That goes on in a lot of cases. But as we've shown how we can build these products for commercial, they've helped lead to other products. So one job leads to the other. You do a good job, you get another one, and that has helped build our business, and that we plan to continue that. About a year and a half ago, we hired a business development specialist that has done a good job of getting us into some industries we hadn't thought of before. And all the LED work, I don't think we would have been doing without him. From an energy perspective, that's something I think is going to be really strong over the next few years. But you're right. We're not counting on the military decreasing. We want the percentage to go down, but we don't want the volume to go down. Now, that's an economic question that's going on in the U.S. right now, that military may be cut. And I'm not smart enough to know what they're going to cut. They may cut it 5%, but if they don't cut my 5%, I'm okay. So nobody really knows what's going to happen there. But we're prepared for it, and we've got the more commercial activity now. So, if military gets cut tremendously, we'll survive it, and we'll be fine.
And I suppose that's the key: being prepared, being able to offer good quality service, good quality products ultimately for your customers. And if you're set up for that, it's a case of going out there and finding that business. So, it's a challenge, and like you say, if we could have a crystal ball and look into it, and
if you get one of those, please let me know.
I suppose in 2 years' time, I'd love to sit here again and talk to you, and maybe look at this little video and see.
And we'll talk about how the economy's figured itself out and everything's strong. And
hopefully.
I look forward to that discussion.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us today.
Okay, well, thanks for having me.
I wish you great success here at Productronica, and a nice day, and good luck with the business in the next 2 years.
Okay, well, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Okay.